Welcome back to part 2 of our series on raising meat birds on pasture. In this video, we're finally moving the chicks outdoors, and we're going to share with you the things we look for when putting them out, and we'll show you our chicken tractor setup.
All right, so it is time to get these chicks out on pasture. Looks like the weather's going to finally cooperate, and the chicks are old enough now they can handle some cold. So we're just going to use this wagon that we've got here and put a screen over top of it so they can't jump out, and we're going to move them out there and move all their water and everything out there, and we'll show you how we do that. All right. Watch they don't jump out of there. Oh, come on. 2, 4, 6, 7, 11. So I've got some cardboard in here because they're still young enough. I don't want a lot of wind blowing through here. We are gonna, tonight it's gonna get down to, it's gonna probably drop down to about 50, which they haven't had that cold yet. I just wanna help eliminate some drafts, but they should be fine. They're close to 3 weeks old. So we have the style of chicken tractor that we have here. It's just what I've found that works for us. And I would, if you're going to raise your own chicks, I would highly recommend that you read Joel Salatin's book, Pasture Poultry Profits. And the reason for that is because he's basically done all the he takes the guesswork out of it for you. He's been raising them for years. He has his own style of tractor that he uses and recommends, but I just didn't find that it was very useful for us, and I like to be able to get in and access the chicks. And we also use this for other animals. That was part of the reason for it as well. So what we raise is a white ranger, and we have tried the Cornish cross, and we just did not have good success with them. We like to raise ours to where we get a nice 5-pound bird, 5 to 6 pound. And with the Cornish cross, we just found that we were having way too high of a death rate and raising them. And I don't believe they're the same chicks as they used to be. The Cornish cross has developed and continues to grow at a faster and faster rate. They take more care, and you also can't raise them as long. So we tend to raise ours till they're at least 8 weeks old, possibly 9. We'll just see what their weights are at before we butcher them. So we get our chicks from Freedom Ranger Hatchery. We've tried their Freedom Ranger bird, but we found that those take even longer to grow out. So I think we raised ours to 10 or 11 weeks, and we just didn't like how long it took to get a bird to that size. So like I was saying, these are a white ranger, and I find that they're a nice medium between your Cornish cross and the Freedom Ranger. They still grow out to be a nice big bird in a pretty short amount of time. And these have more feathers on them than a Cornish cross. The Cornish cross tend to not quite feather out as much, which we don't find that to be an issue when we slaughter them. The feathers all come out, and they're more hardy than your Cornish cross is. Yeah, in our experience, the Cornish cross, we just had a lot of problems with them, and it's not really an easy thing to get started. But they don't like to get up and move around a lot. They like to just sit down, and we've had other friends that have raised the Cornish cross as well, and their experiences were similar. And so we just settled on these, and so far we've had good success with them. Should really sit down on there. Must have used a different bucket. So another reason that I recommend Joel Salatin's book is he talks about the size that you need size chicken tractor that you need for the amount of chicks that you have. So I believe he runs a 12 by 12 chicken tractor, and they found the right amount of birds for them was 75 for a 12 by 12. And so I did the math on that, and that's kind of how I determined how many we can raise in ours. Ours is a 10 by 12. I find it's a little bit easier to move. So ideally, I think we can raise about 65 is about max in these. So we've actually got 2 of them. For now, I just put them all into one, and I'll probably run them in that for at least 2 weeks or so It just makes the chores a little bit easier for me, and I also don't have the other tractor ready. So while they're young, I'll just keep them in one, and then I'll split them up once they get a little bit bigger. So the way that we run this water, we just use a bucket and drill a hole in your bucket. You want it to be just the right size so that it doesn't leak. We found that it works just as well doing that versus trying to find a fitting to attach your hose into. So with our birds on pasture, I tend to move them, depending if they're young enough, I might only move them once a day, but I definitely check them twice a day. And I'll check their food, their water, make sure that they don't run out of water. That is something you definitely don't want to happen. If they run out of water, the chances of them dehydrating go up a lot quicker, and they tend to not be able to handle the heat well, especially if they don't have water to drink. So what I like about this setup is that I can access the water from the outside. I can come right up, I can just check it, and I just take a bucket of water out with me when I chore. And I can fill it up right from the outside. I don't have to worry about getting inside for that. So we do mix up our feed for them once they're on pasture. I didn't get to it in time, so I'm just giving them some dry feed, but we do ferment it. The reasons for that is there's nutritional benefits to fermenting it like that, and we also find that they consume less water out here on pasture. And we really just feed ours. I don't really worry too much about how much feed I'm giving them. I try to just keep them to where they always have feed. And that's the one thing with the Cornish cross that you have to watch, is that you don't feed them too much too fast, and then they end up growing too fast for you. And that can cause heart issues, leg issues. So like I was saying earlier, you know, it's really helpful to keep an eye on your water, especially on hot days. If you can check it more than twice a day, that's good, just to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And this is the first year that we're using this type of water, and I believe it's going to be a better fit. The other one kind of wants a built up algae in the bucket or in the lines. They tend to plug it up. And this one doesn't have that same type of mechanism, and it's a lot easier to clean. So I'm hopeful that this one will work out really well. And the beauty about this system is it's just a gravity flow. So I've just got my bucket outside, and as long as there's water in there, this thing stays full in here. So be sure to check out our video on fermenting feed. We'll link that above, and we'll put the link in the description for Joel Salatin's book. He just has so much good information in that book. If you're going to raise your own chicks, I would highly recommend that you read it. At least browse through it, through the sections that you're not familiar with. He addresses anything, diseases, weather, their tolerances that they have for cold and wet. That is something you want to keep an eye on. Like if we were going to be getting a bunch of rain in the next couple of days, I probably would not have moved them out on pasture. But it looks like the next couple of days are going to be pretty nice. There is some rain forecasted, but they should be fine as long as they're up on high ground and not down where they'd get flooded out or something. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for part 3 in a few weeks.